A mandate may or may not survive, but senior Democrats tell the Associated Press the Obama administration plans to move ahead with other parts of the health care law, no matter what. Of course, that assumes the Supreme Court does not throw the entire law out. But while we wait, what are the Democrats' plans? Emily Ethridge from CQ Roll Call joins us. Nice to see you, Emily. And what is the Democrats' plan should the mandate be tossed out?
We haven't actually heard much from the Democrats yet. We've been hearing that all along that they're continuing forward with implementation, both on the administrative and in congressional levels and also in the states. It's all dependent upon how much of this law actually remains in place once the Supreme Court decides. And even if the mandate goes down, other parts could survive. And Democrats today were saying they will keep going ahead with all of those parts of the law that would still remain.
All right, you are far more steeped in this than I am. So explain this to me. If the mandate goes out, I thought that the mandate was the chief funding mechanism. And that was the way to fund all those other parts that the Democrats want to keep still alive. Am I right, number one? And number two, if that mandate if that mandate is struck, how do the Democrats plan to fund all these other parts they want to keep alive?
Well, you're right. The mandate is the part that gets insurance companies and providers excited about this law because it opens up this huge pool of new enrollees for them. A lot of more people buying health care insurance, people who are still getting services now but maybe not paying for them through insurance. So that is what funds things like having insurers not be able to ban people on the basis of pre-existing conditions or extending coverage to children up to age 26. That is what the mandate's part of what made insurers agree to that. It's all these other provisions in the law. If that's not in place, the rest of the law and the rest of the law is upheld. Right now, Democrats are saying, well, maybe we make it happen. You saw last week.
But where are we going to get the money?
Well, 3 insurers last week, Aetna, United, and Humana, I believe, said that they would continue with a lot of the provisions in the law already, even if the whole law goes down, because they're popular. They say they can do it. A lot of states already have laws to make these provisions in place. So even if the whole law goes down, some insurers are saying they can keep it up.
It seems hard for me to believe, though, that insurance companies are so magnanimous that if the funding mechanism is struck, that these insurance companies say, look, you know, we're good guys, and you know, we're not in the business to make money. We're in the heart business, you know, to help people. I just have never seen it. I mean, you know, they are, for better for worse, they're in it to make money and make a profit. So how can they possibly make a profit if the mandate which funds it is struck?
They were saying that some of the provisions in the law, like the pre-existing conditions that I said, also not charging older people or sicker people more for their premiums than younger people, they wouldn't be able to do. They were saying, you know,
but that's the whole. The whole pre-existing. I mean, not the whole, but one of the things that was what the Democrats really, you know, were pushing or were supportive is the fact that it would allow people with pre-existing problems to get insurance. So if the insurance companies strike that down, it really sounds like we're back to where we were.
In a lot of ways we would be, and that is a huge concern for the insurance companies. They say if you make us keep up with these requirements and you take away the mandate, premiums for everyone are going to rise. This is going to be fiscally unsustainable. You remember Justice Kagan talking about, I believe, the death spiral for insurance companies if just the mandate goes down and they still have to comply with all these other requirements.
Is there, for some reason, I mean, I don't know which way the Supreme Court's going to decide, but there's no severability clause in this statute, which means, and usually those are in statutes, which mean that if you declare one part unconstitutional, like the mandate here, the rest of it stands. Does anyone believe that the Supreme Court could strike just the mandate and let the rest of the statute survive?
That is a possibility that people are expecting. I don't think it's as expected as either the whole thing stands or the whole thing goes down. Those seem to be the two most likely scenarios. The Obama administration was trying to make the argument that if the mandate goes down, some of these other consumer protections need to go down with it because they are inextricably linked. The Supreme Court justices didn't seem to be buying that argument, but like we said, we're not exactly sure how they're going to go. In
this huge health care bill, is there any mechanism to up our enthusiasm to go after waste and fraud? Is there any way we'll collect that money?
The administration said there are a lot of provisions in here to change waste and fraud. They recognize that over the past few years, they have not been doing a very good job with collecting waste and fraud in Medicare and Medicaid. They've started a bunch of new provisions really over the last couple of years, part of which were independent, part of which were part of this health care law. And they say that they're getting huge returns on their investment, but these things are so early, it's hard to see whether they'll really be effective in the long run.
Well, we'll wait to see what happens in the next couple of days. It's down to the wire. Emily, thank you.
Thank you.
Now the latest in the showdown over Operation Fast and Furious.